Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope your day has been wonderful so far. If you're new here, I'm Liz, and today I have an exciting video to share with you. Today I wanted to talk about how to choose what to study in college, how I picked computer science, and how I picked mathematics. These were what I ended up double majoring in, and I have an entire video going over my course schedule if you want to check that out. But I understand when people think about going to college or they think about what their career path's going to be, it's pretty difficult to decide on what you should study, what you should invest your time and money and energy into. I wanted to share a little bit of my personal story with you guys, and I hope that this will help you out if you're debating what to study or if you want to learn more about how I chose computer science and math, if that is an interest that you may end up pursuing. So with that, this video is going to be super chill, so get your favorite beverage, get your favorite snack, kick back, relax, and let's get into the video. Starting at the beginning, when I was growing up, I didn't necessarily have a huge inclination toward computers or software or video games. I'm pretty sure my extent of using the computer was Microsoft Paint to make cool cards, and I mean, I guess I dipped my toes into graphic design, but that doesn't really count if it's scribbles. So I enjoyed Microsoft Paint. I also played the Oregon Trail, loved that game, except it was frustrating when everyone started to just die of starvation and all of your cattle died. But I played video games on the computer a little bit and I didn't really think much of it. I think I had a few courses in computers in elementary school, but I didn't really extend beyond that. Then I moved on to middle school, and this is where I delved deeper into computers and software. So in middle school, I had a teacher that was very integrated in technology, and she exposed all of her students to new software tools, different ways that we can showcase what we've learned beyond just written reports and dioramas, because I feel like everyone in elementary school does dioramas, and that's totally fine. It's really fun. But we were able to put our very own website together. So whatever project that we had, whether a project was a video, this is where I learned how to create and edit videos with Keynote and iMovie. And so I learned very valuable skills there that have helped me with YouTube more so than with traditional computer science. But what I did learn is a little bit of website development and coding for HTML and CSS. And so that was awesome that I got exposed to that in middle school. And I had a really positive experience with that, and I was really interested in that because there were so many different ways you could be creative with computer science and tech. I felt that what I learned with video editing, I could express ideas in a whole new way rather than just written reports on paper. And I also appreciated how with website development, you could experiment with text, size, font, color, shapes, different interactive features. I know we learned how to embed a blog on a website, and we had our own blog to talk about different discussion points in class. So it was really cool to experiment with technology in middle school. Now, moving on to high school. High school was a thing. I'm not going back. I'm okay. I like where I am now. So with freshman year of high school, yeah, so computer science was in the back of my head. I thankfully was on a good route with mathematics in high school. And I think I started either in pre-calc. I think I started in pre-calc, or I started in algebra 3-4 honors, and then the next year was pre-calc or something. But I had a really good experience with my freshman year teacher with mathematics. And growing up, I did have kind of a confidence with math, but I never really thought too much of it because when you're a kid, you just kind of do your schoolwork and I did gymnastics, so I was doing gymnastics, I was doing school, and it was all great. So high school was when I was like, oh, okay, like I'm at kind of this accelerated rate with math, and I focused on math. So I had a supportive teacher, and when I was a junior, I got to take Calc BC. So there's two different forms of calc you can take in high school. I think it's A, B, and BC, and then obviously before that's pre-calc. But I really was passionate and I really appreciated the teacher that I had for Calc BC, and so that was a really good, helpful learning experience, and also that kind of projected me into having credit going into college, because in college, one of the requirements for math and CS was taking calculus, and so I had that under my belt. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to get credit for that for college. And throughout high school, I didn't really explore computer science except like making a few projects on my own and maybe experimenting with a website a little bit here and there. And then I would also like make videos for like family vacations, but it was nothing crazy. I didn't really dedicate a whole lot of time to it. And so when I was at the end of high school, I ended up not taking a CS course, but I was thinking like, I like technology, I like math, so I'm excited to explore that in college. And when I picked my college, I have a video on different factors you should consider when you apply to college. High school Elizabeth's brain didn't understand how to properly weigh different colleges and also, you know, manage like time and budget for these applications, because college applications cost a lot of money. Taking the SAT and the ACT costs a lot of money. I guess another factor like that I could mention is that I did feel like a lot more confidently on my scores for math and science. Like on the ACT, I did a lot better in the math and science and the SAT than on reading. So already I kind of thought like, yeah, I'm probably better off doing a STEM field and doing something with math and science than trying to do something with, I don't know, philosophy or English. And so I ended up applying for colleges, and I didn't know which one I was going to go to, and I didn't really think much about the programs, which if I went back in time, I probably would have applied to schools that I thought would have the best math department or the best computer science department. And the school I chose ended up having great opportunities and excellent faculty, but I personally didn't really factor that very much when I chose the school. So it was kind of like a happy coincidence how I ended up, but it wasn't because of forethought, because Liz's forethought was non-existent in high school. So I finally get to college, and my freshman year, I take my first computer programming course ever, and I took one math course. And the math course was required for computer science at the time. It was called Logic for Math and Computer Science. And so we had, like, this is kind of like if P then Q. It's not traditional math, and it was a huge twist from the courses that I had taken in leading up to that point. I work well with formulas and visualization, and I loved calculus so much, and this was a lot of logic and not so much formulas and the right answer, and it was more about proofs and disproving things, and that was so different for me. And I also didn't have the most encouraging professor, so that was very difficult for me, and it ended up making me not take another math course at my college until a year later. So I loved my computer science course, and I was like, yes, this is for me, let's go. And so the following semester of freshman year, I took computer programming too and had another great experience with that. And then I thought a little bit that summer. I think I didn't do anything computer science related. I think I just kind of nannied and babysat to make a little bit of money. And then going into sophomore year was when I was like, hey, let's give math a try. There are other professors in the department, so let's pick a course that would be with someone new and have a whole fresh start. And so I took applied math for computer science and engineering, and that was amazing. That made me relive my love for math, and so I'm really happy that I ended up choosing that. And then also when the math started to get good, the computer science started to get not so good. So that's when I kind of weighed in my head like, oh no, it was challenging. I was in object-oriented programming, and then the following semester of sophomore year, I was in data structures and algorithms, and it was a lot, and it was a different professor than freshman year as well. So I had to really grind for computer science, but thankfully I began to love math again, so that was nice. And that's when I was like, oh, okay. So I planned on taking more computer science courses, but now that I am more confident in math, maybe I should major in math and minor in CS. Because before I was kind of like, I'm probably gonna major in CS, but maybe minor in something else, maybe explore different things. Actually, before I even stepped foot on my campus, I had like 3 different layouts of plans for majors and minors. One of my plans was a mechanical engineer because I wanted to go into biomedical engineering, and so I wanted to combine like medicine and helping people and biology with like mechanical engineering. I also went in high school, I was really involved with show choir, singing and dancing, and that was a huge excitement and a huge part of my life. So I thought about majoring in music or minoring in music, and I thought about perhaps trying some theater out because I had never taken a theater class before. So I was curious about these things and I wrote them down. But yeah, by the end of freshman year, I was like, okay, I should probably major in CS. And then sophomore year, I was like, I should probably major in math. But thankfully, math and CS have a lot of courses that overlap with their prerequisites because again, like a lot of what you'll find in computer science, the way that you solve problems can be related to how you solve problems in math. So I was really fortunate that those two areas intersected so beautifully. And sophomore year, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to major in math and see what happens. Now, second semester sophomore year is when I made the decision to declare the double major in computer science and math. And this is where I will offer some good advice to you. If you're someone who's considering major or minoring in something, if you're passionate about both, if you choose to double major, then you will get an advisor for both areas, and those people will help you so that you can get all of your requirements done on time. Now, I'm not sure if it works the same if you minor. If you minor in something, I don't think you necessarily have an advisor for that minor, and so it's up to you to make sure that you're all on track. You have your main major advisor, but if you say are a major in computer science and a minor in music, your advisor for computer science might not understand and know everything about your minor in music to make sure that you are fulfilling everything. And so I would recommend it's better to say that you're going to do the most in the beginning, because then people will help you, you'll have extra advisors, and then the worst case scenario, you can always say, hey, I'm actually gonna change one of those double majors to a minor. So I'm gonna change, and now I have a major and a minor. And that helped me out a lot because I had an advisor for math, and he is amazing. And so he helped me a lot with my math side. And I also had a wonderful CS professor who made sure I had all the requirements for my CS side. Something I forgot to mention is that sophomore year, I was able to pick up the job as a student technology assistant, and I was able to work closely with the professor on a specific software to help students learn math. So I ended up coding in Perl, which is kind of an older language, but I was able to code different problems for calculus students. And this also helped my career interest because I was able to make video tutorials to help the professors and the students so that the professors knew how to use this software and add problems to homework sets. And so I got to explore a little bit of the filming and editing world, and I really enjoyed that. And so sophomore year, I got my two advisors when I declared at the end, and I was excited but nervous about junior year. Now, thankfully, at the end of sophomore year, I was asked to do research, and so the summer before junior year, I was able to do research on campus and get a stipend for computer science and math. And so the project I was working on was the visualization of higher dimensional cubes in space. And so we coded in JavaScript and 3JS, and then we used mathematical formulas to determine how different shapes unfold. And so that was cool because before I was on the Java, Python kind of groove with my classes, and I had like one course in mobile apps which used Swift, and I had like maybe a small course in web graphics, but I didn't explore it deeply. So with this project, I dove deeper into graphics, which is a huge thing, like computer science graphics. You could go into video game graphics. There's so many things with computer science, which I love, and that was really cool. I got to do that over the summer. So now that brings us to junior year. Junior year was really tough. I had a lot of courses, a lot of math, a lot of CS, but I feel like the good part about junior year is you're not as like, you know, stressed and worried about things like when you're a freshman and when you're a sophomore. By junior year, you kind of have your friends, you have like stability with your roommates. Bless for that, thank you. At the end of junior year, I was like, okay, this is when I need a good internship. Before senior year of college, like people say like, you know, you need that internship because then when you graduate, you can like go there for a full-time job. That's something that had always been fed into my brain, okay? It was like, ooh, like, you need an internship. And so I was worried about that. And then I never was that person to like have a spreadsheet of like 80 things to apply to. But thankfully, it was either a neighbor, like a mutual friend that had my resume, or it was I applied to them the previous year and they kept my resume. So I was able to get a call and then an interview with a software engineering company, and I was very excited, and I was able to commute from home with that. And the biggest thing that I was excited about was when they interviewed me, they asked me about my skills, they asked me about my resume. It wasn't like the most stressful technical interview. They just kind of wanted to see where I was at, and they were comfortable with the courses that I took on my resume. And they were confident by my grades or whatever it was, they were confident that I could do what they were asking me to do. So I was really happy that they did say like, hey, like, yeah, we want you here. And so the summer before senior year, I did have a software engineering internship, and that's where I got to explore a few different things. I coded in Python. I did a lot of testing and checking of code because, again, I'm the intern, so they're not gonna have me going and like messing things up and writing too many of my own things. But it was cool to see behind the scenes of how that company operated. Now, the most valuable thing, one of the most valuable things, I shouldn't say the most, but one of the most valuable things about this particular internship was when I got talking with a few of the coworkers, I realized that the people with the master's degrees did make more than the people with the bachelor's degrees. And so in my head, I'm thinking, oh, okay, like I never thought I would go to grad school, but you know, if you get a master's degree, you might end up making more money than the bachelor's. So I was like, okay, well, even if I don't go right away, maybe I could just apply because, you know, in my head, when you're still in college, that's when people want to help you. That's when you still have professors that know you, that can write letters for you. And you have advisors, like a career advisor who knows like exactly what you need to send in, what scores you need to have, or what tests you need to take. And so I was like, okay, so senior year, I'm gonna figure out whatever, and I'm gonna take the GRE. I'm gonna find schools and I'm gonna apply for a master's degree or a PhD. And so senior year happens. I found an awesome friend who was gonna take the GRE, and she was gonna study architecture and get a master's degree there. And so we both were, I found her, and she was like the only one that I knew that was gonna try for master's. Everyone else I knew was going straight into industry, and that's totally fine. And so me and her were like, okay, we're taking this little practice GRE test. Okay, it's gonna be terrible, but we're gonna do it. And then we're gonna sign up to take the actual test, and it's gonna be great, okay? And so we studied and we prepared, and then we took the exam, and then began our application process. My career counselor was so helpful, and she's the reason why I got the opportunities that I did, so I'm very thankful for her. So I focused and I got my applications in, and most everything I tried to get in by December, but I may have had one or two things by January. And so some schools have a rolling basis with masters or PhDs, and some don't. So just check your deadlines if you are considering something like that. Same with internships. Some internships, like somewhere like Google or Microsoft, you need to apply early, like August, September, October. But then other places you might not have to. And so senior year, got all my applications in, and then by January, February, that's when I got my offers. When I had everything laid out and I had all of my responses from, I think I applied to 6, I'm not sure exactly, 6 graduate schools. I only applied to like 2 masters, and then the rest were PhDs, because from what I've been told, you get more scholarship for PhDs than for masters. And so that's why I ended up changing. Again, like I had professors kind of telling me that, and of course like the professors were urging me for PhD because like they also can relate to that. And so by any means, if you feel like you're intimidated by the PhD but you want a master's, that's completely fine. And so I was super excited. I laid everything out. The choice was clear, what was the best opportunity for me to pick. And so that's kind of how I got to where I am today. I am a PhD student studying computer science, and I have an interest now. So I've taken my first cybersecurity course. Now I'm thinking about data science and cybersecurity more so than before, because I had never taken cybersecurity in undergrad, and I did take it this past semester, and so that's really interesting to me. But I also still love coding in Python and I also love exploring video animation, video creation. But yeah, that's kind of my journey. It's okay if you don't know what you want to study yet and you're in high school or you're beginning your years of college. Or it's okay if you're a grown adult and you don't know if you should go back to school yet, or if you know what you would study if you did go back to school. It takes some time, but I find that if you think about, okay, well, what am I good at? What do I like doing? Those two things, if you can kind of narrow that down, then you will be all set and you will get exactly where you need to go. Now, I've talked quite some time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, check out some of my other videos on computer science and math. And just so you know, I do have some Christmassy themed clips for you on Thursday because it's Christmas Eve. I hope your rest of the day is amazing, and I will see you very soon.